every time.
Hey guys, welcome to Book Club. Tonight, we are talking about the topic that I am, for some reason, always tasked with talking about. Can't figure it out, probably because I used to struggle the most with it. But we are talking about discipline. And I just want to say that tonight is not about who is the most disciplined person in the world or how many of us were born with an extra measure of discipline, because reality is discipline is a learned skill. It's just a learned skill. Being disciplined, having discipline just comes with learning some things and failing forward. And being disciplined is the result of that. So, what I want to talk about is how this shows up in moods in our business, in seasons in our business, in relationships in our business, etc. So, I think the one framing statement from the chapter this week is discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. And when I think about the areas of my life where I would say discipline is very evident here, it's because a majority of the time in that area, I make decisions based off of what I want most and not what I want now. If I allowed myself in the area of fitness and nutrition to have what I want now all the time, it would be ice cream every meal of the day. I am not kidding. Like, I have a special compartment for it. I can eat at an all you can eat buffet, and I'm telling you, I have room for a half gallon. Ask my friends who really know me. Ask them. So obviously, thanks genetics, I cannot do that. I can't even have ice cream every day. I can't have it every week. But if I did operate out of what I want now, just know that's what it would look like. And so when somebody chooses egg whites over ice cream, it's not that they're better than anybody else. It's just that for that season, for whatever reason that they're working toward, they've chosen what they want most over what they want now. Same thing when it comes to fitness. I promise you, at no point in time ever is what I want to be doing weighted burpees. It will never be what I want to be doing right then. But what I do want is to be able to wipe my own butt when I'm 80 and be fully functional. And so I do things now that will help me have what I want most later. So, we're going to start with a couple of questions. Now, listen, we can make this as painless as possible if you will unmute and interact. If you will not unmute and interact, then I intend to make this as awkward as humanly possible for everyone involved. So, question number one. When you hear the word discipline, what emotion do you feel first?
Confidence.
You feel confidence when it comes to the word discipline. The rest of the call hates you. I
And the
also feel
game.
that emotion, but that wasn't what I used to feel. Who said something?
Shame.
Shame. Who is that? Where are you? Speak
Me,
again.
Emily.
Emily. Shame.
Fear.
Okay. Fear. Is that what you said, Miss Colleen?
Yes.
Fear. Yes, ma'am.
Procrastination.
Procrastination. Can we call that resistance?
Possibly, yes.
So resistance that shows up as procrastination.
Mhm.
Relatable.
I think I feel dread.
We are so much the same there.
I feel
Dread.
ick.
Ick. Well, dread, Brit, because you know that in order to create change, it requires work. That's like a Newton law or something. I don't know what it is, but change requires work. And so the dread comes from like, I'm about to have to do something that's more uncomfortable than what I'm doing, which probably also makes the ick come up, actually.
I don't
Yeah, the
mind
word that
it's the pain. It's the
The pain,
pain.
that's what I'm saying. That's the pain of change, the transformation. It's painful.
Well, I guess I should clarify because the confidence comes from when you have been disciplined, not
So
leading
you
up to it.
So you probably feel pride when it comes to, in a good way, pride when it comes to the area of discipline because you have so much evidence.
in one area. But then in other things, like the discipline, like I can show up to the gym 20 times a week, but am I sitting down in front of my computer 20 times a week to work my business all the time without having to convince myself? No, those are two different things. So that's one that always gets real tough too, because to know you can have discipline in one area of your life and then lack it in another, when you know you can do it, like that's frustrating. So I
You
guess
can't do
frustrating is
this
also.
anymore. This
I know,
means
sorry.
6'7", so
Yeah.
that's not allowed.
But yeah, so I guess like, and I feel like, so there is also frustration when you know you can be so disciplined in one area and you're lacking it in another and you can't find the same thing in a different area.
Another emotion that I hear come up is pressure. I think that if somebody joins my team, they intuitively will perceive pressure to be more disciplined because they will see chapter 462 in my book of discipline and they will think that I expect them to be there. Um, and I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, if I hire a new macro coach, or even y'all, I can apply pressure to my life if I like hire a marriage coach or a business coach, or if I'm having a conversation with the CEO, I will apply pressure to like be impressive. And so I notice that same feeling come up when it comes to the area of discipline. People will think, "Oh my gosh, I have to be more disciplined than I already am." Even though there were many times in my life and still are many areas of my life where discipline is not what I would be known as. Let me ask you this. What's an area of your life where you would say you are very disciplined? Like you have evidence that you choose what you want most in that area over what you might want now. Rachel says my morning routine, parenting, food, CrossFit. You can also unmute. An area of your life where you say, I feel really disciplined.
Working out,
Working out.
even if it's just like movement. It doesn't necessarily have to be a hard workout, but movement. I mean, for years and years and years and years, it's just part of who I am.
Supplements, yes.
Same, like hydration, like water, supplements, fitness, all that.
Okay. All right. What's an area? I just teed y'all up for this. Got you nice, warm, and fuzzy. What's an area where you avoid discipline? You notice I didn't say where you lack discipline. You don't actually lack it there. You just avoid it there.
I don't get it. What's the difference? Lacking versus avoiding.
When you convince yourself you lack something, you might kind of just feel like helpless to have it. Well, I just don't have it. Like I just lack that. I lack when I think about what are some things that I lack, generally it's because I don't feel privy to being able to secure it. Because if I'm avoiding something, all I have to do to secure it is just engage in that process, right? But if I lack something, like if something is lacking, it feels far off, unattainable. It feels more victim versus ownership. So an area where I would avoid discipline. I'll tell you an area I avoid discipline. It would be in the area of emotional communication. I could discipline myself to be vulnerable in communication. I could discipline myself to open up about how I feel. I could choose to carve out time to create space where that would feel appropriate or relevant or whatever, but I avoid it because you know why? Because it feels uncomfortable, because it feels painful, it feels embarrassing or vulnerable or whatever. Okay, an area where we avoid discipline. Laundry. Oh, good point. I'm gonna keep avoiding it. Food,
Emotional
Mine would be-
eating.
emotional eating.
Mine would be the confrontational.
So you avoid hard conversations. Ooh. That could cost you. We're going to work on that, actually. Also guilty. I've been the same. It's okay. Business convos. Some folks at Monkey Joe's, it's like a bounce park. You know, they avoid discipline in the area of discipline in their children. Y'all see evidence of a lack of discipline all the time, right? All right. What do you think is the difference? Oh, this is a good question. What's the difference, do you think, in the areas where you would say, I possess discipline here, or the areas where you would say, I avoid discipline? What's the difference?
Okay, I want to answer this because I literally was thinking this earlier. When somebody said they have discipline in some areas and some not, I was like, oh, me too, same. Why? The areas that have discipline, I had accountability every time. My morning routine now, when you started 30 and 30, I like really, like I had to sit down and plan it out. And if one thing is off, it kind of messes with the whole morning. And it starts with 30 and 30. Working out, Mark holds me accountable and he has for a long time. Even if he's not working out, he will remind me or say, when are you working out? So and now it's just a part of my everyday.
Yeah. That is a great point.
I think for me, it's stuff I have stuck with long enough for it to become a habit. Like I'm super sick right now. Like, don't want to function. I still have all these things that I do all day long because it is not optional. Some of the things we allow ourselves to think they're optional, and it's not necessarily like I've fought myself on that, as you know, for the last year. This conversation. Why am I so disciplined? Like, no matter what in these areas, but in these areas, it is such a fight. I stuck with these long enough that like I could come in blackout drunk and I would do them instinctively. Like it's just a habit now. And it's not as hard to make yourself do something that is habitual as it is to make yourself do something that is new or that you're making yourself do still, I think. I mean, sick as I am, I got out at 11:30 at night and fed horses and dealt with chickens in the freezing, and I hate all of that. But it was not optional, and I've done it so long, it's just what we do.
Hey, Christina, I was just thinking also, it's easier to remain disciplined when you see results. And oftentimes when we don't see results, we give up on the discipline because it's not proving to be worth whatever that is costing us.
Question.
I don't want it.
For your statement. What comes first, the result or the discipline?
Exactly. The discipline comes first, results follow. But oftentimes we don't hold ourselves to that, or the cost of it is too much that for whatever reason, if we're not seeing the result, it's like, well, then is it really worth it? When we give up too quick.
Yeah, I think motivation comes first. And then I think you have to decide to develop discipline in a certain area. And if the decision to develop discipline isn't made before the motivation wears off, then the brain will just convince you it's fine to settle for whatever you had in its place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and I also sometimes think, I mean, the driving need changes things too. I mean, I think that a lot of people like, if you're chasing like for exercise, for example, if you're chasing a high A1C and potential diabetes and health issues and hospital visits and stuff like that versus staying at home, like that's going to be different than maybe somebody who just has 5 pounds to lose. You know what I mean? Like those are going to be different too, but it also that first, like, yeah, the motivation thing is going to make the difference in how important the end result is to you too, and how much patience you have, honestly, for the results.
Patience comes from vision. I think it's how much vision do you have?
Yeah, that's true.
Because if the vision is big enough and you're really bought into it, then it doesn't matter how long it takes. You're right. You know what I mean? It's like I always go back to the babies and the interstate. Like if your kid's on the other side of a very busy interstate with no one to go and save him except you, it wouldn't matter what you'd have to endure, how long it took, whether it's hot, cold, raining, would not matter. Like come hell or high water, you're going to figure it out because the vision's very high. Um, so I agree with that. Let me ask you guys this. Before this chapter, did you believe discipline was something you were born with or something that you built? Or have you believed both at times? And what's your belief now?
I don't know that I thought people were born with it. I feel like I've always thought some people are naturally, I don't even know the word, like inclined to be more self-disciplined than others. But I think now it might be that some people, kind of like what you said, they have more vision for their life in general, like in areas. And so because they have a vision of what they want their health to look like, they're willing to count their macros every day and lift heavy stinking weights. Or because they have a vision for like what they want financially in the future, they're willing to say no to certain things now so that they can do more later. Like I think I think it's more about people having, like you said, vision versus not having vision in areas of their life. Um, and I mean, anybody can choose to have vision. So
Yeah.
therefore, anybody can choose to have discipline.
Here's another thing for self-reflection. Do you think people who have more natural discipline, is it possible they've just been through things in their life where discipline was just required? Like I think about my life and just some of like growing up, some of the things that I had to, I mean, my mom broke her neck when I was in second grade. And so there was my brother was an infant in the car with her when the wreck happened. And so someone had to take care of him. Someone had like, so things just like it was kind of born out of necessity almost. And I think what turns somebody into a disciplined person is just repeated instances of having been disciplined. So eventually it ties into the identity that someone has. So he talks about in the book how discipline is connected to who you believe you are and not just what you do. And so, oh, go Brett.
I'm sorry, I thought you were done. Go ahead.
I was-
Finish your thought.
No, that was the end of the thought.
Okay. I think that there are certain personality types that are not as emotionally driven as others. And for those, discipline may not feel as difficult, or people might assume that that discipline comes easier to those types. I think that discipline oftentimes is it's an emotional management thing. When we are disciplining ourselves, we're doing the opposite of what we feel like doing. And if you just allow yourself to be driven by your emotions all the time, and that's just kind of your mode of operation, and that's how you are just used to, functioning, then yeah, I think that you're gonna probably find discipline to be harder, but it doesn't mean that you can't be disciplined or that you can't choose to operate otherwise. But I do think that there are certain personality types that do not have as big of a propensity toward being emotionally driven as others.
I wouldn't know with all of my emotions.
Yeah, you have so many. You're not one of the ones I'm talking about. You definitely are emotionally driven.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with that. And often those of us who have the personality types where we're not quite so emotionally driven, we have a really hard time comprehending those who are different. In the same way that those of you who are emotionally driven probably think people like us are weirdos. So it's so interesting. It's why it's so important to learn your people because both types are right. Like we're all uniquely wired this way. Not that you can't develop discipline. So let me ask you this. have you ever been disciplined in one season of your business or in your life, one area, and then lost it? And if so, can you identify what caused the drop off?
I feel attacked.
I wasn't looking at you. It just happened to
I
be
knew
that
you.
your picture
know
was the
you were
largest.
asking. I should have never told you my secrets today.
Just
I
saying.
know good and well you came up with that question after I messaged you.
Vulnerability is such a key thing for us leaders.
I think
I would say yes. There are times where I have exercised more discipline than other times in my business. And I would say when I'm disciplined, it's because I'm hungry for change. But I'm gonna tell you what, a diamond life has a tendency to make you feel very comfortable and happy with things. So, with the state of things. So, anyways, yeah, I think that the hungrier you are, the more discipline you're gonna be able to muster up. I do think that. And I mean, there are even as a diamond though, there are seasons where I'm like, I'm hungry for change. I'm ready to grow, and I will get disciplined. I mean, I've been a diamond for 5 years now, I think. And so there's been periods where I'm like, I'm ready to grow. I'm ready to grow. And then there's periods where I'm like, I'm gonna, enjoy my life a little bit. And not that I stop working, but I definitely would like what less discipline for me would look like would be getting out of my comfort zone less. It doesn't mean I stop working or that I'm not working very hard because working hard is just who I am and I like to work hard. But it might look like I'm not doing things that make me uncomfortable that would produce growth.
Yep, to that. I thought you were going to say when your discipline falls off, it's because you're hungry. I'm like, me too. That happens with my nutrition. Just begin hungry, and so then it falls off.
And then the ice cream just happens to be there.
And
And
the ice cream just show up.
wasn't my fault.
Divine intervention. What else? Who
I
else?
think having hit a goal or having like obtained the thing. I think back to a time, well, for me, it was like end of nursing school. My mom was terrible sick. She was in the hospital. My mom died. I was so far behind. It was kind of miraculous that I graduated and I had the option. I talked to my instructors and they're like, well, it's going to be like really, really hard, but you're going to have to buckle for like the next 5 weeks. But honestly, like take the semester and come back. I was like, my mother would roll over in her grave if I took the semester and went back. So I just hit the grindstone. I absolutely didn't want to. It was horrible. I had feelings everywhere, but it was, doing that thing. And then once the achievement was made, like the urgency went away. Like there wasn't another, so it's like once that goal is attained, then it's real easy for the discipline to slide.
Yeah, that's why John Maxwell says today's success is the enemy of tomorrow's. Right? Because if the goal is an accomplishment or an achievement or a rank or a level or a title or whatever, then it's kind of like, well, now what? Right? Yep.
That's really interesting that you say that, Jen, because I was super, super disciplined with my nutrition and my exercising and my health. And I mean, just like 10 times more conscious and thinking about it all the time before I had kids because we went through infertility with our first. And so like it was the same thing. I had a huge motivation. Like I was working so hard to do everything I could to get my body ready to be pregnant. And then once we had him, it just like I didn't fall completely off, I wouldn't say, but it definitely got a lot harder to stay really disciplined in how I was treating my body.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some things that people would say causes discipline to fall off would be things like complacency, burnout, disappointment, busyness, achievement of the goal, which would be actually a lack of vision for beyond the goal. So I think you see all of that play out. I thought this was so interesting, so I wrote this down and I was thinking like, okay, what are the lies that we start off telling ourselves that leads to the fall off of discipline? Like I think self-awareness is the key here because like Brittany said, if you can deny the feeling in the moment, then that's 80% of the battle, right? If we can identify the little bitty lie that starts the fall off of the discipline, then we can speak truth over. So here's one. I'll start Monday. Right? I'll start Monday. Nobody can start eating better on a Thursday. That's ridiculous. Why would anybody do that? It's like we forget that after we start Monday, there's going to come a Thursday, but we'll start Monday. Or I'll do that next week. Or it shouldn't feel this hard. That when you start to believe that, that is where every bit of the discipline it'll fold. Or my favorite, I'm not a routine person. I think something to keep in mind here is every time that you want to jump to a new level of discipline or advance to a new rank in Plexus, an identity shift always comes before an income shift. Always. And as long as you're married to who you are right now, you will be robbing yourself of who you can become. So, all right. I don't have time for that one. Here's a question. What would it look like in your business if you treated your business with the same level of discipline that you treat your parenting or your marriage or your 9-to-5 job? Like now I don't mean the same hours or the same, but what would it look like to show up? What would have to change in your business right now for you to apply the same level of discipline and intentionality to your business that you do in whatever area you're saying, I'm nailing discipline in that area? What would have to happen?
I think for myself is just downright getting mad about the situation. Like I need to get angry that I don't have this, that I haven't been able to obtain this. Why am I sitting in the same place? And I think that's part of it is that I need to almost allow myself, like just have that thing, whatever it is, hit me in the face. Be like, you want this? This is the life you want? No, I don't want this. Okay. What are you going to do to change this? And that's why people, heart attacks, when the wife says, finally, I'm done, I'm out of here. That's when a lot of the time people are like, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, I need to change my life, right? This is what happens. We're as human beings. It's like we need a pain point or something to really get under our skin to be like, I cannot be comfortable anymore. I need a change. I need to do something to move this boulder right now.
Yeah, so you're saying you basically get sick of yourself. I'm telling you, anytime I've ever made a shift physically in my physical fitness, it has become, I have become downright disgusted with myself. Not even usually with like a result, but just like the habits that have stacked up or just the poor decision. Like, who even are you? You are a person of discipline, yet you got a whole string of evidence where you have not been doing what somebody who is a disciplined person here would be doing. And I will get so sick of myself. Oh, and listen, then I will change. I'm telling you, until you're sick of being the way you are, why would you shift identities?
Well, I think, didn't Eric Worre say people change for two reasons, desperation or inspiration? And I've had both in my life. I don't always have to be disgusted with myself because sometimes being disgusted with myself can lead me into shame and then being paralyzed. So there's that. And the last thing I would want is for anyone to feel like, oh my God, I got to get to that point. I mean, there are certain times, yes, 100%, especially when it deals with fitness and I can't fit into my jeans or whatever. But there are times where I'm inspired. about like, especially when rooted in God's word, like who has he called me to be? Who has he made me to be? And just calling me up higher, like calling me to a higher standard, or, Britt calling out what she sees in me, or just, calling me higher. That to me makes me want to stand up stronger, straighter, and to live more. So for me, it's been both inspiration or desperation.
Agree. Agree. I feel the same way. There have been times where I have, when I decided to build this business, it's because I was at a place financially where I was like, we've got to change something. But then I see somebody like Trisha last month and how her team is winning. And I'm like, oh, let's go. Like, I'm so inspired, right? I'm not desperate, great life, but I dang sure am inspired. So let's go. I love that. Anybody else have anything to say on that? I have a question, but I'm afraid it will hurt your feelings. Nobody get your feelings hurt. Okay, we're disciplining our emotions tonight. How would your Plexus business change if you treated it like brushing your teeth instead of a mood-based activity? What would you have done differently today in your business if working your business you treated like brushing your teeth instead of a mood-based activity?
Can I make it a little bit more painful? Because working your business doesn't mean thinking about your business. Because I've thought about my business all day long, even when I'm asleep before, but that doesn't mean I've talked to anybody about Plexus or followed up with anybody about Plexus in terms of like really getting in, like working your actual business, talking to new people and following up with people about Plexus. Because the real work, because what's actually going to move your dollars, your bank account, because that's where I used to work my business all the time, coaching and thinking and training and doing X, Y, and Z. But anyway, I think that for what your joints are double.
Yep. Yep. What else? What would you guys have done differently? And this isn't to invoke shame. Listen, all of us are guilty of this. Every single one of us is guilty of saying, I should do this. Ooh, that feels awkward. Instead, I'll do this. So I am absolutely not free of this charge, but I'm just asking you, maybe I should tell you what I would have done differently. What I would have done differently in this one area, if I were going to treat this thing like brushing my teeth and not a mood-based activity, is I would have went for that business lunch today. It's what I would have done. Justified a million reasons why I did not go, and they're all good reasons, but that's just me being vulnerable. So what would you guys have done differently if you treated your business like brushing your teeth instead of a mood-based activity?
I sent, I think all but 4 of my messages today were follow-ups or to my current customers or white lines about the wellness or welcome to wellness instead of I started 4 new messages today because I don't feel good and I didn't feel like talking to a new person and I didn't feel like doing it. So instead I did what I was comfortable with, which was customer care and follow-ups. And you have to have new conversations to get new people.
I think for me, what it would look like is basically what it looks like now with the 30 for 30 calls. You've definitely solved a problem with the 30 for 30 calls because it's brought focus and accountability and the right behaviors for new growth.
I'm glad you acting right now.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think if you had asked that question a month ago, though, before we had these, then I would have said I would consistently be starting new conversations with prospects or, just doing the work to create new business builders.
Yeah. Well, and the reason I asked that question, it's such a silly analogy about brushing your teeth, but I do want you to know that when I am choosing a disciplined decision, it is because I'm having to look at the ice cream or the egg whites as mood neutral as I would brush my teeth. Not 100% of the time, and I'm not perfect with it. But when you can remove some of the emotion or even dial it down and make a decision from a place of neutrality, then you're able to see past what's right here and you're able to see better what's back here. Because what I do love is the strawberry ice cream with the white chocolate chips. Like it's so, and if there's like that hard shell topping, game over. But what I really want is back here, and it's strength and leanness and functionality. It's all these other things. But when the ice cream's right here and there's so much emotion tied up in it, if you can dial down the emotion, it just brings it out a little bit where you can see bigger behind what you really want. Then you can make a choice. And sometimes I do choose the now. That's what you have to know about disciplined people, but it's not most of the time. It's not most of the time. And so when you're faced tomorrow with having to make a decision that you know your best diamond self would choose something different than what you're about to choose, and you can think about, okay, brushing my teeth. That's emotionally neutral. I engage in the process every day. Doesn't matter what has to wait. Doesn't matter if I'm late for work. Nobody's blowing off brushing their teeth, right? I hope that would be weird. Um, that's how you have to approach these situations that feel like, oh gosh, it's just like, okay, brush, I'm going to engage in the process. I'm not going to die. And on the other side of it, I'll have created a notch in my belt toward my disciplined identity. And here's the thing, every notch in your belt, it can never be erased. So even if you make a mistake the next day, no one takes the notches. You just don't get to add one that day. That's okay, because then you can do the next right thing. And now we're back to notches. And they accumulate over time, they compound over time. And then before you know it, the whole belt is notched and you're wearing a belt of discipline and you didn't even know it. Because in the same way that, sobriety is one day at a time, discipline is one decision at a time. You're not going to nail it every single time, but the decisions will compound over time. Here's what I'll tell you. Go ahead, Britt.
You know that part in the book where he was talking about just for today? Just for today, I'm going to have the right attitude. Just for today, I'm going to eat the right food. Just for today, I'm going to exercise. Just for today, I'm going to do my new contacts. Just for today, I'm going to follow up. Just for today, I'm going to take care of my customer. I'm going to coach my team, whatever. Just for today, just for today, just for today. And he's literally just focused on what do I need to do today? Just for today, I'm going to show up as my best self for my family, whatever. And then the last line, it brought tears to my eyes because then he said, and then eventually one day I get to enjoy the effects of the compound of a whole lot of today's, essentially is what he said. I butchered that, I'm sure, but that's what he said. And that is exactly what I was thinking when we were on the yacht, is like when I was floating in that water and my toes were in that sand that felt like powder, and I'm looking up at the sky and I'm literally just tears pouring down my face in that moment and just praying and knowing that it was simply a compound effect. People think it's like climbing Mount Everest, but it was simply a compound effect of a whole lot of little things that I did day after day after day that most of the time nobody noticed, but they compounded. They really did add up. And the compound effect feels like I didn't do enough to deserve this. That's what the compound effect feels like. But the opposite of that is also true because bad habits also compound. And when you have bad habits and you ignore them, they compound, but in the opposite direction to where the result feels like, oh my gosh, what did I do to deserve this? Because the habits compounded. And so the compound effect is true either way for good habits and for bad habits. But we can just simply focus on today. We don't have to focus on, a month from now or 6 months from now or a year from now. We can simply focus on doing the right things today and trust that it does compound over time.
Yep. Yeah, that part in the chapter got me. In sobriety, they say it's not like 50 days sober. It's like 1 day sober, 50 days in a row. It's like 1 day at a time. Here's what I'll tell you guys. Momentum is built. It's ignited by motivation. So motivation builds momentum one time. Discipline fuels it every single day. And you're just going to have to determine that your energy is going to come from discipline. Otherwise, if your energy comes from motivation, it's like a match in the wind. Like it's not predictable and it's not consistent. So here's what I'll tell you, just a couple of teaching points, and we can talk about these. So feel free to interrupt, unmute, say things. Discipline and plexus, what does that look like? It looks like boring consistency. It looks like boring consistency. It looks like the same actions were repeated over a long period of time while reflecting and determining to increase your effectiveness of each of the actions. So same actions, same invite, same follow-up, same posting, same tracking, same posture, always looking to improve it though, right? Boring consistency. Discipline. I will tell you, this is an area where I do nail it. It's not often that I can say that in most things, but discipline protects you from your own feelings. And I believe feelings are not trustworthy. And so discipline protects you from them. And here's what I mean by that. Discipline, it'll post when I'm tired. Discipline will follow up when I'm uncomfortable. Discipline will force me, for the love, to track metrics when I'm discouraged. Discipline is what shows up when those feelings are absent and they're gone and they're not present, right? Discipline shows up when belief is shaky. And so discipline protects you from your own feelings. It protects you from the behavior that your feelings would require if they get to call the shots. Thoughts on that? Can you notice a time in the last week where discipline kicked in and you did something contrary to how you were feeling in the moment?
That happened today because I told you at 5 o'clock this morning that I wasn't going to make it on the 30-30 call because I had a potluck with my class participants. I had all that planned. There was some conversations that were going on in the class where people were talking about like reaching out to their siblings and stuff like that. And I was just sort of, sometimes there's things that pop up in conversation that pull you back into like grief and, stuff like that. And I was having like kind of a hard moment with it. And I got home and it was like 12:55. And I was like, oh, I can make it on that 30-30 call. But I already told Christina that I wasn't going to make it. She already gave me the prompts. I don't need to get on there. And I mean, I was 5 minutes late, but I still got on 30-30. And I really didn't want to because I really just wanted to sort of wallow.
That the nicest way possible.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to because I was fighting one of those like moments where a year ago I would have been just like, just feel it, just, get through it, do whatever. But I was like, no work because that'll be better.
It'll be productive. Yeah.
It'll be productive and you won't feel like, oh, I should have, would have, could have. And so I got on the call.
That's a great point. When you don't choose discipline, you realize what you end up choosing instead is like regret. And there ain't much I hate worse than discomfort in the moment, except shame. You ain't going to find a type 3 that revels in the feeling of shame. You're not going to find a human that revels in the feeling of shame. But I'm telling you, I despise that feeling. When I know that I could have and should have and didn't, oh, snap. No, hate it.
That's what I was fixing to say is like the only thing that has motivated me of not feeling good and not want like I don't want to. And momming a bunch of littles when you feel sick is so fun because they don't care that you're sick. And I'm like, I can sit down and not clean the house. I can not do my work. I can not do whatever. I can probably call someone to feed the horses for me. But what is the house going to look like in 3 days if I have sat on this couch for 3 days? I'm still going to be sick either way. But then when I don't feel sick, I'm going to be unproductive because the house is a wreck. The laundry's overflowing, the dishes are miles high, and I haven't messaged anyone all week. So now I feel shame. And now I'm starting my messages from a point with a different mindset that isn't positive. Now I'm sending messages out of scarcity instead of abundance because I know I didn't do what I should have done.
Right.
And that isn't who I want to be messaging people as.
Yeah.
That's not how I want my house to run. So you just get up and do it anyways. I actually made myself get on both 30 for 30s every day this week because I know that's the only way I'm doing work. I'm not going to do it if I'm not on a 30 for 30.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, I know we have to run. I want to tell you a little bit of what will happen if you don't choose discipline. Remember, it's a choice. I do believe it's a choice. Vision without discipline. I was thinking, what happens if you have vision, but you don't choose to develop discipline? Here's what happens. Wishful thinking. Okay. Discipline without vision, what does that look like? That looks like burnout. Both together looks like inevitable progress. Vision with discipline, inevitable progress. All right. So, what is one disciplined action, not 10, one, that if you change, if you develop, would most change your plexus results if you did it daily or weekly, depending on what you're choosing, for 90 days? One disciplined action, what would it be? 10 new contacts daily, okay? You're not allowed to leave until you tell me your thing, so I got all night. Better tracking, oh, relatable stories, new reach outs, share business story every single day. New connections. 3 new convos started every day, 10 new reach outs, posting about the business weekly. Okay. New reach outs every day, new conversations every day. Okay, okay, okay. Mine is bring one new human to the Welcome to Wellness call. Brittany, don't be breaking the rules. Pick a thing. You're reading a book called The One Thing. One. Just one, Brittany.
That's why I'm reading the book to solve the problem. Don't-
Cannot. Mute. Where's the mute button? My one thing is bring a new human to the Welcome to Wellness call every Tuesday. I firmly believe that if I put someone new in front of a product and business presentation every week that I don't have to prepare, plug them into a system that is designed to run with us, what will happen is momentum in 6 months. And I'm determined to show you guys that. And that is my one thing. And so everything that I'm doing every day is working toward that angle. So it's not that I don't have to do anything else. Obviously, I have to do the new reach outs. I have to share my business story. I have to do these things, but it's with that one disciplined thing. Like what will I have to say no to this week in order to be able to say I brought a new human Tuesday night?
See, this is where you get tricksy because that's not one thing. That
One
takes
thing.
that's a lot of things in one. That's one result. That's not one thing.
Listen, you know how us type threes act? Get on board. All right, y'all. I hope that I could bring a little bit of lightness to a topic that I know often evokes the feeling of shame. And here's what I would tell you guys. What I needed before I decided to develop an identity of someone who is disciplined is somebody to remind me that I am not a tree. Not a tree. I can move. And if you have a pattern of not choosing discipline, it literally could start today. whatever you said you want to start doing, imagine how you'd wake up tomorrow if you already had one day of that under your belt. What if you just remember the little lie that says, I can do it tomorrow, I can do it next week, I can start in January. What if that's the little lie that leads to the discipline fall off? I taught you that already. So what if you didn't allow that? What if you just did it today? Okay, well, hope that was as fun for y'all as it was for me.